Sup, Jensen?
Smooth. Smooth like that bourbon you're drinking.
Smooth criminal. Yeah. Again, recording on Tuesday, I was kind of like, should I drink bourbon on Tuesday night? And I was kind of like, yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, I should. How about you? You drinking bourbon? You drinking green tea? What do you got?
Bourbon.
Bourbon. Oh, you hid that a little bit, but I'll believe you.
All right.
I'll believe
I'm
you.
hiding it.
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing? What were you doing over there outside the shot?
Just getting a sweater and a hat.
Your cardigan? Remember that? I watched one of those clips actually with your cardigan. At the very end, I was kind of winding you up a little bit about the length of your cardigan.
That was a while
I said
back,
it looked very striking.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? I can't remember what show it was.
I can't remember which show it was either. I feel like that was a while. I think it was a while ago.
It was.
When was I wearing a cardigan?
I don't remember what the show was.
It winds a lot of people
it was
up.
Cheap. I think it was Cheap Trick. Budokan.
You could be right.
Yeah.
I'm not looking it up right now. I get a lot of people like to poke fun of the cardigan. Family
Really?
get-togethers at the in-laws.
Oh.
I get wound up by the wife's cousins and family. They think it's a fun thing to do. Whoa. Who do you think you're, Mr. Rogers? Well, wow, hey, look, I think my grandfather has the same sweater as you.
Oh, that's kind of...
Wow.
It's a lower
Good
level
one.
joke.
Yeah. So, anyways, Karina's like, whatever. I'm like, this has come from the guy who wears like Under Armour everything. Anyways, doesn't matter. Good people. Good people. We all grind each other's gears. That's for sure. We all take turns.
Say, you just got him back on the internet.
Oh yeah.
Well done.
Got the last word because I told the
Posterity.
internet.
Will live on in history.
Absolutely.
So, young man,
Yes.
what do you have to say for yourself?
Well, at its core, I think probably like to.
I was wondering what was going to happen there.
Yeah, I lost it a little bit. I was, started. I gotta get better. I gotta get back on my roll. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. Maybe the whole thing was a little dead and bloated, anyways.
Wow.
Then you go and do something like that
and totally redeem yourself.
Oh, so you're proud of it. Good.
Yeah. I thought I
That's
got
good.
back to it there. No,
Was it like did you set yourself up there? Was it like intentional?
Sure did. Absolutely.
Way to go. Well done.
Thanks, man. Did you like it?
Well crafted. Yeah.
I don't care if you liked it or not. STP.
STP.
Shirley Temple's. No.
You know about that?
I did. I heard. I heard about this. Yeah,
Don't
that was
say it.
I won't. I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can't.
pretty wild.
That was Scott Weiland's idea, I believe.
I'm not surprised.
So
Was
he
anybody
wanted
surprised?
to. He wanted to name that. They were fooling around. They used to be called Mighty Joe Young or something. And then he had a fascination as a kid with STP Motor Oil and that logo, that STP. And so he said, let's use the initials and fool around with it a little bit. And they came up with other things, Shirley Temple something or other. And then, which is like vile, right?
Everybody said no.
And the other guys are like, no.
Yeah.
So then they said Stone Temple Pilots. And the rest is history. Yeah.
And here they are.
Here they are. And there they go.
And there they go. What do you? I want to hear from you first, Brent Jensen. Talk to me about your feelings with this album, because as I understand it, they are mixed. It was at least from the beginning, and it's an 8 times platinum album. But I'd love to hear what your thoughts are before everybody's waiting around to hear mine.
This is this record. Purple is a better record, but I thought that it would be a good idea to pick this one. Based on the purposes of what we're doing here. A very interesting difference in this record, and I'm gonna ask your ask for your perspective on this, but when you think about the 4 previous grunge records that we looked at, right? We started with Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, and then Soundgarden. So the 4 singers had something in common with each other. Scott Weiland did not have that in common with these 4 people. Do you know what that is?
Quiet reservedness.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Right? So they were kind of shoegazers, and he was like a rock god. He wanted to be Steven Tyler, David Bowie, Mick Jagger. He preened on stage with no shirt, and he used that megaphone like the reverse of the other 4 guys. And you listen to this record, it's almost like it's not really a grunge record at all, is it?
I can't tell. I'm not very good at this. Yeah, I guess it is and it isn't. I guess it's more so not. But I guess I'm sort of, I've mentally put myself in this thing. It's like what they say about watching music videos, right? When you watch music videos, like music videos kind of suck because they give you this perspective of a song that maybe you don't otherwise want your audience to have, unless you really have creative control of what it's going to look like. Going into this, it was, it's been all grunge, and I kind of had this still kind of grunge thought, feeling. I mean, there's definitely feelings of Alice in Chains, definitely feelings of Pearl Jam, definitely feelings of Nirvana. But ultimately, my thinking of when I hear Stone Temple Pilots is Plush. Like, that's the song that comes to mind.
Okay.
And that wasn't really grunge to me. That's like alt rock. Like that's... So, hearing the rest of this album, I did still feel a little bit of grunge, but there's definitely more rock, or as people would label it, hard rock, over grunge. Yeah.
Interesting, because this came out in September 1992, I think. So it was kind of late to the party, almost, especially when you consider when Nirvana came out. But they were based in L.A. They recorded this at the same studio that Guns did, Rumbo Recorders. And they worked on the Strip. It was like Sunset and Gardner for Dean DeLeo, the guitar player. He worked at a guitar shop there. And they were hard rock guys. But again, I think what was happening was that people saw the grunge thing not the grunge thing, the hairband thing getting really silly and too big and too shiny and too, kind of perverse almost. And the true musicians were like, I don't want to do that. And that's where grunge came from to a degree. But for these guys, they didn't really, in my mind, they didn't take on the grunge mantle. They just kind of took a more of a hard rock direction. Do you know what I mean?
Yep, totally.
I mean, the darkness is still there. And I think Scott Weiland said in an interview once, he said, I'm kind of more attracted to the darker shades as opposed to the yellows and the oranges when I'm thinking about kind of social commentary. And, you go through these songs and there's a lot of, dark themes. But I think that's where the grunge thing came from. Plus, people compared him to Alice in Chains and Eddie Vedder particularly. They took a lot of stick for that. But always been, a hard rock record for me. This has.
Yeah, it's really interesting to think about why you lump, even myself, you lump them in to that. Is it just because vocally he sounds too familiar to these guys?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Yeah.
So there are songs that, like, you think about Piece of Pie, for example. That intro sounds just like Alice in Chains.
Yeah, right.
What else? Where the River Goes, Alice in Chains again. There's just there's a stark similarity there. It doesn't stay like that through the song, but there's nods. And I think people just make quick associations, right? They hear something and they go, that sounds like this. And it's of the time. So it's like, we have Pearl Jam, we have Alice in Chains, we have Soundgarden. These guys are let's just lump them in.
Is that so interesting, though? Because, there were bands that sounded like each other all over the place through the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and nobody cared. And all of a sudden you get into the 90s, and it's like, you sound like Pearl Jam, screw you. You sound like Nirvana. You can't do that. Like, right?
It's because the music business became more of a business
Yeah.
Right. So if you think about this, the '60s bands, to your point, I mean, there was the Zombies, and there was, the Hollies, and the
Monkeys,
bands,
the
right?
Beatles, like
Right.
those bands, and even the Birds, right? Like they all
Yes.
had the in front of them, and they all had 12 strings or like mandolin. Like it's just. Anyways, sorry, back to
They
your
all
point.
had like 3-part harmonies.
Yeah.
Right. They're very similar, but nobody said, okay, this is the new movement.
Yeah, you can't sound like that.
And Led Zeppelin was able to record Led Zeppelin 3. The first 2 records were hard rock. The third one
Right.
was more like the, like
The best of all LZ albums, but go on.
yeah. Well, yeah. I love it. But
Yeah.
they were able to do that. And I don't know, people didn't really, they kind of took notice, but it was like everything during this period in the 90s was so compartmentalized because people wanted to label things. There had to be a movement.
It just showed you sort of like where the mentality was at the listener too. It's just everybody was like, no, you got to be something different or whatever is what I was taking away from it. Like everybody was just, you were getting away from this accepting of music. It feels like.
Yeah. See, it's kind of funny because when you think about where the Black Crowes fit in during that time, this was that they were out 91, 92. They were Faces, Stones kind of acolytes, But Scott Weiland is a self-admitted Bowie acolyte. Loved Aerosmith.
Yeah.
Loved the Stones.
Yeah.
So it's very odd.
We'll talk about the sex type thing. The oh my sweet Jiminy Crickets. The
Sweet Jiminy.
you know
Crickets.
what I'm trying to say. Is, sex type thing and its relationship to In the Light by Led Zeppelin. That's where I was going.
The
with that.
riff, yeah. Yeah. That's where DeLeo
Just
got
couldn't
the
figure
idea.
out how to speak English. Yeah.
Sweet Jiminy Crickets.
Yeah. Anyways. Yeah.
Anyway, Scott Weiland, interesting character.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you've read this book.
Never. Not a chance. Okay.
Quite good. Yeah, really good. It's called Not Dead and Not for Sale.
Okay.
And it's one of the best memoirs by a rock personality that I've read. Highly recommended. But yeah, written with a lot of flair. It's jarring. He tells a story about being molested when he was 12. So he had his demons. Like he died when he was 48. Overdose, and he just couldn't get it together. He was a very, very compelling character in that way because people who knew him loved him, but he couldn't get his head on straight. He couldn't figure it out, and yet super bright guy.
Because he got sober for a bit, right? Before that happened? Didn't he ever?
Well, yeah, he literally was like a roller coaster.
All up and down, right?
Yeah. He was in Velvet Revolver with Slash and Duff McKagan and Matt Sorum, who are, all 3 of those guys got their Keith Richards merit badges. Like those guys were just nutcases, right?
Yeah.
So imagine
totally.
those 4 guys together. But they all got clean, and they all said, okay, like we need to stay clean. And then I think Weiland slipped, and the other guy slipped a little bit with him, and he left the band. Okay, Pally, let's go through the tunes.
Well, hold on. You didn't hear about what I thought of the album.
Oh, sorry.
Come on, we're 17 minutes in here. I haven't even given my 2 cents.
I thought you did.
I don't really remember. I can't really remember. I didn't really definitively say.
Okay.
All
What
right.
do you think?
Wasn't a big fan. I was not a big fan of this album.
No way.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I really wasn't. And then I listened to it a couple more times.
Mm-hmm.
And then it started to grow on me.
You know what's funny about that?
Yeah, go ahead.
You know who else did that?
No.
The guy from Smashing Pumpkins. What's his name?
Oh, Billy Corgan?
Billy Corgan. Apologized to Scott Weiland after years of saying Core was just a bunch of dumb rock songs and it was, needless. He finally got it. And he said he had this epiphany, I can't believe that I didn't see it for what it was. And he actually apologize to Scott Weiland for it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm like that prophetic feeling about it, where I was like, oh, I finally understand what this is about. But it just started. It got a little better. I listened to it once through, and I was like, I was pretty stoked at the beginning. Dead and Bloated starts off great. Sex type thing is wicked. Same with Wicked Garden. But then it kind of just started like falling off for me from there on. I was kind of like, The only thing I liked in between Wicked Garden and nothing else, well, was CRACKERMAN, I think, by the end of it. So there's like 4 songs that I was maybe really into. And I was like, I don't feel these guys. I'm not really getting it.
That's why I was saying that Purple
okay. Yeah, Pearl.
is a much better record, just because it's almost like they kind of found themselves.
Got it.
This one came out, and again, maybe the Alice in Chains thing was intentional, and the Pearl Jam thing was intentional. I like to think it wasn't, but maybe they did. Maybe they hitched their wagon on the grunge thing. I don't know, but Purple is a much better record. But I wanted to use this one as an example of kind of the movement and what was going on at the time.
And again, I started to like it. I actually started reading more about it and getting a little bit more attached to it as well. I've said that in the past, where I'll look more deeply into an album and like behind it, or and just looking into what the artists have to say about it within the band, and I think that attaches me a little more to it. So I think that started happening as well. But yeah, just right off the hop, I was kind of like, I knew I didn't really like Stone Temple Pilots before, and this is kind of carrying through. But it got better. It grew on me a little more. So as we go through and we talk about them, by the end of it, I probably started this album at maybe a 2.5, and then we'll see where we end up. Stop! Don't give me that look. Don't give me that look.
That's the lowest score that you've
It's your judgmental. No, it's not. No, Supertramp was a 2.
2?
Supertramp.
You gave Supertramp a 2? Oh yeah.
Did I not?
You walked that back to a 3. That's right. I remember that.
Oh, did I? Did I go 2 to 3? Doesn't matter.
I think you did.
It just didn't. This didn't do much for. It wasn't doing much for me because there's a lot of repetition, and I know that Cornell did that. He's saying a lot of the same stuff, but like with some of this stuff, a lot of it just seemed really like drawn out of the same riffs, the same vocal tonality and melodies, and everything was just very much like Rat. But it started to grow on me a little more than Rat did, because there's still, to me, over 80s hair metal, there's still more substance and more musicality and this kind of music over that stuff. Yeah, so
totally.
Anyways, that's where it started for me. I was like, oh, this isn't going to go well. But
I can't wait till the end of the show to see what we actually give it.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll give it like a 10 out of 5 or something once we get there. So, yeah, Dead and Bloated. Let's go. Let's get through the tune stack.
All right.
Not get through. I don't want to make it sound like I want to rush it. I'm just saying, let's start. Let's go. Let's go.
Dead and Bloated. Yeah, this is almost like, this is never a single, but it was like an anthem, because people loved, especially when they're drinking, to yell that "I am," right?
Oh yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Oh God, yeah. Down the university dorm hallway, that's all you'd hear is like people yelling that. Yeah,
that's hilarious.
Oh, totally. So proud of themselves. Scott Weiland didn't play an instrument, but he hummed this riff to Dean DeLeo. I guess, like, he would give him ideas, and he would say, kind of, this thing that I have in my head is like this, and then DeLeo would try and play it on the guitar.
Cool. Yeah, because they worked across like kitty corner from each other, and so when they had song ideas, Weiland would go there, or DeLeo would go there, and because DeLeo worked in the guitar shop, usually Weiland went over there, and they would work some riffs out.
Yeah. And see, that's what I mean. They weren't from Seattle. That was where he worked. Sunset and Gardner was like right near, I think, the Sunset Strip, which was like all those bands were still there, really. I think that was kind of drying up right around then. But like Trickster and Firehouse and all those like big hair bands were still playing, I think, at the Roxy and, you know, the Whiskey.
Actually, there was one other part I was going to bring up too, is the fact that like these guys weren't a Seattle grunge band or whatever, which I think is also the reason why they do sound the same, but it's their own sound. Like coming from Seattle, you know, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam, and Nirvana.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I feel like it was okay, but like because they weren't from Seattle, that was another part that was like, you can't play grunge, you're not from Seattle. So it's just funny. I was like, it's like everybody, it was like kind of like a crowd of people that loved this music who were, you know, kind of dejected from like their family or, you know, feeling the same way that all these bands were. But then like, maybe even Outkast, and then an Outkast band comes in and people are like, you can't do that. Anyways, right. It just seems kind of hypocritical, right? It was like somebody said it was like, it's like a punk in high school calling somebody else a poser, right? Like a punk can't call somebody a poser, right? It's just not
right.
That's not what a punk is. They don't care about who you are or what you do. So punk's not going to call somebody a poser, but that's basically what people were doing to the Stone Temple Pilots.
Yes. Yeah.
I diverted from the tune stack, but
no, I totally get it. Yeah. No, you're right. But I don't know. That's why I saved this album for last too, because I just wanted to see what you thought. Because we kind of went through Nirvana. Obviously, had to be first if you're talking about grunge.
Totally.
And then we kind of worked away from, you know, Soundgarden. I kind of maybe should have done that one sooner, but like,
you screwed up. No. I think I totally get it, because I still bucket these guys in a little bit of grunge. I still feel that sense of it. So I think it's a good final step in that world.
This
of
is probably
like,
this is definitely the least grungy grunge record,
right?
If you want to put it that way.
But I totally feel that opening line, that I am feeling like a power. I was like, yeah, that's cool. This is
you
great.
Would be that guy who's yelling that down the dorm hallway at 2 a.m. after.
100% be that guy. Yeah.
You still are that guy, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
I love it.
Fun fact: he sang that opening line through someone's pickup.
I am smelling like the roses somebody gave me on my birthday deathbed.
Fun fact: sex type thing.
Fun song.
But it's not supposed to be, Brent. It's not supposed to be a fun song.
This is kind of like, I was having this conversation a little while ago with somebody, and you know how bands, like a band like, say, like Slayer, right? They say, like, you know, we're going to kill people and we're going to burn and we're going to, like, we're, you know, Satan is God and all that stuff. And then these guys are, you know, they're like, well, we don't feel that way. It's just like the music, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's
totally.
It's almost like you award yourself a license to behave badly, right? It's the same kind of thing. So this song reminds me of that a little bit, because when you hear the song, it's like I'm going to, you know, everybody knows how it goes. But apparently it was the complete reverse. So people thought that it glorified date rape because it's very aggressive. But in fact, he said he saw 3 of his football high school teammates rape a girl after some party, and it always stuck in his head. So he kind of said, you know, society's lost and confused about what's right and what's wrong. And this is a great example of that, because we objectify women and we shouldn't be doing that. And this is just kind of a, you know, this is what the song is about. Humanity's confused. But at the same time, it's almost like, you know, Slayer.
Here is a super serious message wrapped up in super kick-ass riff that you are all going to headbang to, that I don't want you to headbang to.
Right. Well, it's like Alice in Chains, right? Talking about junk, like Junkhead. You know, kids are like, yeah, okay, I'll do dope. It's you do dope. Well, no, that's the wrong message.
No, well, hold on. That's right. So you're not supposed to do it. I think it's great that he's singing about it. who am I? But I think, it's obviously when you look at it from that angle, it's good to have somebody in a position like that singing against it and outwardly against it. I just don't know why, if you want a song to be heard and understood in a certain way, I don't know why you, again, like it was just jokingly, but seriously, I don't know why you wrap it up in a great riff and in a way that people are going to move to, and also like when that a majority of people listen to music for just like the music.
Right.
There's not a whole lot of people sitting there taking in the lyrics or how important they are. And again, even when they listened to it and people did listen to the lyrics, they thought he was like joking. They didn't realize that they thought he was singing from first person. Like they didn't realize that it was him singing against the act. And then once they all figured that out, it was all like, oh, well, that's our mistake. You're amazing. Like, this is great. Right? But I don't know. Did you hear the swing version of this?
No, I heard there was a version, but I haven't heard it.
Yeah, so in 2017 they released it 25 years to the day that the album came out, this like their new deluxe package, and they have a swing version of Sex Type Thing.
Oh wow.
Which is it almost sounds like a little 007-y kind of like theme song.
Really?
And of course, you can't put that on this kind of an album. Like
No,
you can't
no.
possibly part of this project. But even listening to that, I'm kind of like, this still feels like a little jokey the way that they played it. I think even maybe a little more serious than this, than the version that everybody knows. But like again, play it in the style of Creep or something. Like if you want people to really take this, you think about Jeremy. Was Jeremy, taken out of context? Was it taken in a way because of how it was played to be this rock anthem? Like they played it properly, or they played it in a way that made you really think about it. So I should digress here because I'm just going off a bit, but it kind of bugs me that people are going to tell you they're going to write music like this, wrap it up in a way that you want to party to it, and then tell you, I don't want you to party to it.
That's a good point.
So the relationship to In the Light by Led Zeppelin. This story.
Not
of this
really,
one.
no.
So basically, who is it? DeLeo would have been in the garden, working in the garden, and the song In the Light by Led Zeppelin was playing. And there's like the riff in between after the verse. And it's basically like the notes in between those notes he was hearing because he was so far removed from the radio. And he heard these notes and he was like, I'm going to go put these into a riff. And so basically when you hear the way that In the Light goes and then you line up Sex Type Thing, they basically like the notes in between the other notes.
Oh, wow.
Like work with each other or something like
That's
that.
cool. This is like a descending riff, right?
Yeah.
Like Run It Down a Dream by Tom Petty. Same thing.
Oh, you're right. That
Right?
too. Yeah.
The same notes.
Oh,
It's
my
just like
God.
this descending thing.
Look at this.
Yeah.
Can't believe that. Somebody should sue these people.
There's only 12 notes, man.
Yeah.
You don't have a lot to work with.
Actually, it's funny because Wicked Garden sounds like Wreck Me by Tom Petty, those opening chords. Bam, bam, bam.
Yes. You can hear the classic rock in this very clearly. And the tone is really good of the guitar.
I was going to say that. You're right. They did. They got a
Don't you
great tone.
think?
Yeah, 100%.
Like it's just it reminds me, it's not the same, but it reminds me sonically of like the old Eddie Van Halen, that remember those like curtains of sonic punishment, just
yes.
like
Hitting you.
you could
Totally.
almost feel it on your face.
I feel like they did the drums really well on this album too. I feel like the drums sound really, really good. They really brought them up front in this one as well. Kind of like what Butch Vig did with Nevermind. I feel like there's just a lot of really good drum-driven songs in the album.
Great production.
Yeah.
Yeah. No Memory.
It's cool.
Very 70s, eh?
Very nice. Like, you kind of listen to it, and you're kind of like, where's this going? And then Sin kicks in, and you're like, that made a whole lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's cool. I was up for it. I'm into
like
that kind of stuff, and I think that was a cool interlude. I could see why some people wouldn't be, especially fans of the genre or of the music at the time.
I like it. It's kind of it is a callback to the 70s. It reminded me of like old Scorpions and kind of like even Metallica a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean?
That's what I got, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, you know, maybe it's a little like cliche to say one or nothing else matters, but that's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah, it's just it's dark. It's got like I'm sure it's minor chords, but it's got like that evil sounding, you know, vibe. I like it a lot. I think it's great. I'd keep it.
Definitely. Well, then, like, as mentioned, just the way that it kicks into Sin is like, well, obviously it's perfect because of the way it just seamlessly runs into Sin. So, cool. It's good. Good.
What did you think of Sin?
Sin's pretty good. Sin's okay. Not like,
that's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
It's just okay. There's a lot of just okay songs on this record for me.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and this one kind of reminds me of Where the River Goes and the fact that he really just keeps singing the same stuff over and over again. And I know I said that with Cornell and Soundgarden, but what I really liked with Soundgarden was with Cornell really kind of changed the way that he sang it.
Right.
Again, it's very just like I'm singing the same thing over again with the same riff and the same drum pattern.
Yeah.
And, you know, I just found it hard to really like connect because I ended up in this like trance of like the same thing. And maybe that's what they wanted. Maybe they just wanted people to like get in their own zone and subliminally be listening to the lyrics, and I don't know.
That's almost a grunge dynamic though, isn't it? It's just this kind of sludgy sameness that just plows through. There's no dynamics, there's no color. It's just like, you know.
Yeah,
Maybe
did I
that's a
miss
bit of
that
a
with the other
reach, but
albums? I didn't feel like I got that with the other albums.
Nirvana, for me, has that. It's just, I don't want to say there's no color, but it's just, it's very kind of, I don't know. It just kind of like it's like your description of Rat, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no variance. There's no kind of.
No, it's interesting because I didn't feel that way with those other albums. I didn't really find myself in these types of trances. I might have maybe with Alice in Chains a little bit, but I feel like Pearl Jam was like really good.
So much variance in that record.
Yeah. And honestly, I feel like Soundgarden, now I got to go back and listen to them because I don't know. I don't remember feeling this way.
Go back and listen to them.
I will.
Rate them over again.
That's right.
6.
Yeah, so the next 5 episodes are just going to be us re-reviewing the last 5 albums.
You know what I didn't notice is
Yes.
how funny would that be? Just do
That's
this.
right.
We'll do this 5 records over again.
Okay, well, see you next week for Nirvana's Nevermind.
Naked Sunday.
Yeah, what's up with this one?
I don't know. It's kind of just okay, right?
Just
I think
okay.
Violence. This is about organized religion. A lot of these guys like Soundgarden just took shots at organized religion, rightfully so.
Easy.
But he said something interesting about it in that he said organized religion does not recognize everyone as an equal. So And it's true, right? They just kind of like, idealize this certain type of person, and everybody else who isn't that person are just kind of cast off and demonic and, bad people. But this song is about that.
It kind of grew on me, though. It was one that grew on me a little bit. Again, it's kind of a cool riff as well. That's what I liked a little bit about it, but otherwise it was kind of...
It's not terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just not a standout.
No, not at all.
How about Creep?
This one grew on me a little bit. I kind of half expected them to start going, I'm a creep.
Yeah.
I'm a weirdo. I don't know. That's good.
Right around the same time.
Was it around the same time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so who was first?
These guys.
Okay, good.
I think
Great.
Radiohead came out later, like before 95, but after 92, I think. Yeah.
This is where I got, like, you get Kurt Cobain and a few other things, but I really felt the little Cobain vocals in this song, especially the clean Cobain vocals. No, I don't think he was ever clean, but just the vocals clean.
Mm-hmm. This is kind of like, for me, like a grunge version of like 18 by Alice Cooper, because it's like it's about like uncertainty, and you're still young but you're old, like you don't really know where you're at, so you're not an adult but you're not a kid anymore. I think that's what he's trying to say in this song. And another funny thing about this is Dean DeLeo wrote this in what he calls the saddest key. What do you think that is? And he did it on purpose.
Saddest key?
Yeah, the saddest key. Think about all the chords you know. What do you think's the saddest one? Well,
I feel like it's going to go against, any minor, but E minor. It's pretty sad.
Okay. Is that your guess?
I don't know. No, D minor. No, B minor. No. E minor. I'll stick with E minor.
It was D minor.
It was D minor.
He says that's the saddest key in music.
It's pretty sad. Well, just because he said it doesn't make it right, but yeah, it's still pretty sad.
They all are.
The minors are sad.
That's right.
I don't know how you can really rank the minors. They're all minor.
You might be right, because E is the deepest, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe and thus it's kind of, I think that E minor probably is the saddest, I would say.
You're way too high on the D minors. You're up way too high.
Well, it's only up 2 steps from E.
It's high enough. It's not deep enough. Anyways, Creep, pretty cool. Piece of pie.
Again, Alice in Chains, right? Just,
right.
Even the vocal sounds like Lane Staley for me.
Yeah, it was cool. Grunge. This is grunge. Like you said, it's like Alice in Chains. It's grunge. This is it's a grunge tune.
Yeah. Not much to say about it.
Yeah.
Plush.
Next.
Yeah.
This is what I heard all over Much Music when I was a kid, and all over The Edge probably as a kid.
Mm-hmm. See, I used to think this was the first single, because this was the first song that I heard from this record. And I remember watching the video in university. But it was actually the second single.
Yep.
Any guess as to what the first one was?
Was it Wicked Garden?
No, that was not a single.
No, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Wet My Bed. No. No, I don't know. It was
ironic. Oddly, it was a Sex Type Thing.
Oh.
That was their lead-off single. I mean, great
cool
song, but like, if you really want to kind of create some controversy, then
of course that makes sense.
Yeah,
get people listening.
I would have thought it would be Plush, but no, or even Creep. Creep was third, I believe.
They intentionally didn't put Plush first, and they intentionally buried it.
Why?
Because Atlantic said, Plush, this is your lead single. And they said, no, it's not going to be,
No.
because they knew how good Plush was, and they said, we don't want that to come out first, and that's how we're only going to be known, and that's what people are going to remember us for. We want longevity in this game, so we're going to put out Plush not first. I don't know if they said that it's going to go second, or if, they got hand, fist, whatever. And so they said it's going to come out second, and it's going to come out late in the album.
That's a cool fact. I didn't know that, but that makes perfect sense. And
Yeah.
you know what's really funny? It makes sense because, as I just said, that this was the first song that I did hear.
Right.
And I kind of associated, STP with this sound, and I wasn't like super big on it. Had I heard Sex Type Thing, however, that was more into or more sounding kind of like, the stuff that I was more into.
Totally.
So
Yeah.
I might have a different, appreciation for STP, or would have at that time, at least.
Or maybe you would have been severely disappointed once you heard the second single off the album. Is this what? Two very different types of songs. Like,
Totally.
I think they paint them in completely different pictures.
Mm-hmm.
People love this song. I don't know why. I think it's maybe because I heard it all the time. I hate this song so much. I can't stand it. It came on, and I was like, this is the song I know. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll find it different in the context of the album. Couldn't do it.
Oh, really?
Couldn't do it. I did change my mind with Nirvana's Nevermind. There was something I appreciated more about that. I just couldn't get into it.
Wow. Oh, wow. I'm glad that you tried that. This song was written kind of in a ragtime feel on purpose. You know how it's choppy, like DeLeo is a big ragtime fan, apparently, and he wrote the chords, the structure of the chords, that choppiness, as kind of a ragtime tribute.
Wow.
Yeah, strange.
Well.
But also, I think the song is about a girl that they found dead. She'd been kidnapped, right? Is that?
It was a newspaper story about someone that was found dead.
Mm-hmm.
And
it was violent.
It's kind of one of those. Sorry, yeah, you keep going.
No, I was just going to say, it's just that same narrative, right? Like, humanity is confused, and so you've got Sex Type Thing and Plush as singles, and they're both about the victimization of females.
Yeah, great point. It's this like it feels like this tree falls in the wood kind of a story too. Like, if a tree falls in the wood, does anybody hear it? It's like when the dogs find her, is she still gonna smell alone? Right? Like, does she have a different smell when she's alone? I don't know. It was just like it was kind of an interesting take on death.
That's the thing, right? Like Weiland said, I'm more fascinated in these kind of areas than I am the good news stories.
Right.
He's the more macabre kind of. I always thought that was a very clever line.
Yeah.
The dogs do smell her. Does she smell alone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I was like, oh. That's a good question, does she?
Mm-hmm.
If a tree falls in the woods. Does anybody hear her? Wet my bed.
Oh, God. The song is kind of a joke in itself. It's funny because for me, it's needless, right? I don't know why it's on here. But it's almost, when you really think about it, it's almost kind of a Morrison reach, isn't it?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what they say. Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really know too much and enough about the Doors to feel that. We just listened to the Doors debut album, but I don't have as much of a familiarity with Morrison and outside of that album. So
there's a song called Peace Frog that reminds me of this, because it's like he stops and he just starts talking, and it sounds very similar. He's definitely kind of channeling Morrison here.
Well, this was an interesting one. They took a lot of time, a lot longer than anticipated, to record this song. It was originally just meant to kind of be like, let's get in there and record it and get out or whatever. So it took them like a few hours to get this thing recorded, because they ended up like really feeling it, and I don't know, it's weird.
Which song?
Wet My Bed.
It's really? I thought
Yeah.
it was. I thought this was the first song they recorded. It's not really a recording, but I thought that Scott Weiland and DeLeo were in the studio by themselves. Dean DeLeo were in the studio by themselves, and they were just fooling around. And Weiland's clearly like intoxicated.
Yeah, clearly.
And that apparently this was the first recording that came of the core sessions. And you can actually hear Brendan O'Brien at the very end go, "Okay, now what?" And then
Right.
CRACKERMAN starts like bang right away.
Yeah.
I don't know if I think that was spliced together, but
Yeah. 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 What I read was that they were in there for a long time, and some of the was chattering near the end too, with them reading from magazines, and like the whole band wasn't even in there the whole time. There were some people like that were kind of out of the studio, and they heard some stuff going on and didn't know quite what was happening, and so not even everybody was included in the recording of this one. But that's weird.
it's not
It's
really
weird.
even a song.
It's not a song. So.
Yeah.
Monologue.
Sometimes just silliness.
It's an art piece, Brent. We don't get it. It's not meant for us.
It's like
CRACKERMAN. What?
Yeah, it's like that Tom Mariah song on that Alice in Chains record.
On Alice in Chains. Yeah. Iron Gland.
Iron Gland.
Yeah. CRACKERMAN is great.
I like it too.
This song is fantastic.
Yeah. Again, hard. This is not grunge. This is hard rock. No question. Very similar to Sex Type Thing for me.
I was going to say that. You beat me to it. It was just, yeah, it just, yeah, it just, it's good. It's good. Like weird sort of relation to Pearl Jam with what song was about the homeless man?
Even Flow.
Yeah. So CRACKERMAN was allegedly a homeless man that Weiland would run into because there was like a homeless camp and stuff like that, and he was a homeless guy that he knew. I don't know. You read the book.
He doesn't talk about that in here.
Interesting.
No. I also
Why
read
wouldn't
this
talk about that? Maybe you forgot.
probably 8 or 9 years ago. Look at the picture in the middle there. See Scott Weiland. He's a football star.
All right.
Yeah, he's a clean cut All American kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting life.
Yeah. Till he went through what he went through with the football players and probably ditched that for life.
Yes.
Weird.
Oh. And being abused at age 12 doesn't help.
Man, that's like a Rob Halford and experience too, eh?
That's right.
Was Bowie as well? No. Just Halford, was that my thinking?
I don't know. It's happened to a number of people.
It's so nuts.
I know. It's ridiculous.
Where the River Goes.
So Alice in Chains.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the
Totally.
grungiest song on this record for me.
It is, and it's also probably, next to Plush, the skippiest. Hand me the peanut butter. I'm about to skippy this last song.
Oh my God.
Hand me the peanut butter. I'm gonna skippy this last. Eh? Does that make sense? Fog your glasses up. That's how bad.
That's how bad that joke was.
That's how bad it was. I loved it. I'll keep that one. Don't you worry. Yeah.
Okay, Skippy. You do that.
Allow me to craft my final rating
It's just getting worse.
with this peanut butter.
Are you drunk?
No, probably. I haven't had a drink in 24 hours. So yeah,
Wow.
it was a long weekend. So it's a good long weekend. Yeah, River Goes. Whatever. So whatever.
Okay, I'm excited now to hear your...
The final score. No, I gotta go with my gut here. This is a 3. This is a 3 out of 5.
That's exactly what I thought you were going to give it.
Oh, sure.
I'm totally serious.
Sure.
I should have written it down.
Yeah, you should have written it down.
Damn. That's what I should have done, because I knew you were going to give it a 3, because when you said at the
I'm going to go with
beginning,
my heart on these things now.
this is like a 2 or 2.5, and then you talked about moving it up, but you didn't want to be too aggressive and move it to a 4. I knew you were going to give it a 3. Knew it.
Okay. So I showed my cards early on. Yeah, it's a 3.
There you go. 3. Not bad.
I don't know. You've given me some dirty looks when I've given some albums 3. This
Well,
one was, not bad.
3, if we averaged out your score, what do you think the average would be over, I don't know how many shows we've done now.
Oh, probably
Close to
4. I feel like
Do you think 4
coming in at
would
like
be
a
the more popular?
like 3.8
Actually, you know what?
to 4.
I think it would be interesting to do if you had time to work it all out, because you give
Okay,
it a
who
lot
wants to
of
do that?
5s. You
Bobo,
give
you want to take that away? Deke, you want to take that away?
Deke will do it.
Deke will do it. I just called them out. Nice.
No.
Or T-Bone. Yeah. We're
They-
kidding,
they'll-
guys. Don't go do it. Just
No.
stop.
You're right, because we had a string where it was a lot of 5s.
Got a lot of 5s.
Queen, Springsteen. The
It's
Who.
probably 4 plus, if anything. I said 3.8, but like I don't think I've had enough 3s or anything under 4s to give it even more than a 3.8. But
I would say it's a high 3. 3.8
well, like
something.
like 3.95.
Hmm.
I think I've given like 2 3s and 1 2, if maybe.
I'm going to go through and do it. You've never given
Okay.
1.
Yeah, I've never given 1. No.
No.
See, a lot of the times I was rating them based on like just like their. You can't just give this album. Well, now in my life, I'm like, screw that. Give an STP a 3. Yeah. I don't know. I want to be as big as a mountain.
Good.
I want to be as high as the sun. So there we go. Okay. All right. So is this like the end of an era? Are we moving
It
on?
is.
What's
That's
happening?
this is interesting, because this marks the end of, what was it, like a 15 plus record run, right? We started this with the Police, I think. And I thought, I want to try and craft a bridge here of,
Right.
And I think it started with Synchronicity.
Right. Okay.
What show was that?
Well, no, it would have been the Police's first album, right?
Yeah, but we did 2 Police records.
Yeah. What was their first album? The Police, right?
We did Orlando's D'Amour, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, we
that's
did.
right. But that wasn't part of the.
No, I had the idea when we were doing Synchronicity, because then I was thinking about kind of the rise of like new romanticism and new wave and all that stuff. Because then we did Elvis Costello after that, I think, and the Pretenders, and yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that was definitely a 10 plus record run. So
Yep.
yeah,
Okay.
that's over. Wow.
Man, hard to say goodbye.
The end.
Well, where do we go from here now?
Well, I'm going to do something that's going to shock you. I'm going to suggest that we listen to...
Barbie Girl by Aqua.
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to suggest that we talk about...
Daft Punk.
No. I'm going...
Okay, you get there. You get there this time.
Ready?
Ready.
Tom Petty, Damn the Torpedoes.
Oh, well, I know the album, though, but
I know.
I'll come back and talk about it. Okay.
Let's do it. So
My
we're
bad.
going to reverse the rules. You're going
I
to tell
love
me
this.
about this record.
Oh, really? Okay.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's
I love
do that.
it. Hell yeah. Oh, my
Yeah.
God. There's so much more pressure now. Okay.
No, there's no pressure. Like, the record backwards
I know,
and
but
forwards.
now I get... Well, yeah. Amazing.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's do that.
Sick. We'll do it.
There we go. Yeah. And then we'll decide what to do after that, because there's still loads of albums, right? So
There's more records?
there are more records.
Yeah. God, this show's going to go on for a while. Or it could.
Okay, good.
Amazing.
There you go.
Great, man. Well,
Tom Petty.
thanks for the journey. Oh, my goodness. We come back with Tom Petty, Damn the Torpedoes.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Get your listening ears on, folks.
I thought that would be kind of fun.
Totally. I love it. Thanks, man. Let's do
You're
this. Great. Well, I got to go listen to it now. I'm just going to go. I don't care. I'm going to listen to it now.
There you go. Off you go, Skippy.